What's up, everybody? Welcome to another YouTube Hangout. I'm excited to be here again with my friend Ian Dawson. He's got a podcast, Next Level Guy. We've done one podcast before. We're doing another one now talking about my book. And I said, hey, let's bring it on YouTube as well. So, Ian, before getting into it, maybe just a quick intro for my audience, what you're all about.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be on. My name's Ian Dawson Mackay. I run Next Level Guy, which is a men's interest improvement and interview site. I like to interview people who I think are great guys, find out the hints, tips, and tricks that they've done to make themselves such amazing examples in their chosen industries. I've interviewed Evan here, and I try to keep it separate from a normal interview show. I like to get into the deep rooted stuff and ask the questions that really matter, not the stuff you hear 24/7, and actually find out what makes guys like Evan the stars they are.
I'm excited. Deep questions, they're coming. Well, your show, man. Take over, and I'm pumped to do this.
Well, I was delighted when you gave me a copy of the book to have a look at. Now, for those who haven't had a chance to read it yet, can you just give me a little background about it? What's it called? Why should we pick up a copy? What's it involving?
So it's called The Top 10 Rules of Success. And one of the things that I think I'm probably most known for is my YouTube channel. We've got 1.2 million subscribers. And one of the most iconic series on that channel is called The Top 10 Rules of Success, where we look at different entrepreneurs, actors, athletes, innovators, inventors, leaders, and break down some of their best advice. And so, Elon Musk might talk for 4 or 5 hours about different things, and we'll condense that down into the 20 minutes of the best golden nugget advice that you could take home and apply to your life or business. I decided to make that into a book. And so I took 40 of the most common or most popular people on our channel that we've ever profiled. So these are some of the most recognized thought leaders in the world, and condensed them down so that on every page of the book, you're reading 2 thoughts from a genius, from a legend. And my idea for this is not for people to read it like a book. What I want people to do ideally is read 1 page a day. It's what I do. It's how I start my day every single day. The idea that you wake up, you read 1 page. It takes 2 minutes to read 1 page. Everybody has time to read 1 page from a book. And you've been hit with 2 really great ideas that hopefully inspire you and make you want to think bigger for your life and for the entrepreneurs for your business. And the more you're around success like that, the more you're around people who think differently, the more that starts to seep into your brain, into your mindset to go off and then, challenge the norms and do something bigger with your life and company as well.
No, and you've certainly managed. I mean, it is a very deep analysis of these people and what makes them tick. But why did you decide to release a book? Because your media is typically, sort of released on video format, and it's snippets of interviews, and you tend to focus using your YouTube channel. Was there a reason that you focused more on the printed version this time?
Yeah, I think it just works better in this format as a book. I think as a daily quick hit guide, you don't need to have an internet connection. We condense it from a video of a top 10 might be anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. We condense that down into a 2-minute read of just the really big highlights. If you want more context, you want more details, you can always hop onto the YouTube channel to get the video of it. But the goal was really to create a platform where you could easily pick it up once a day in the morning. I have it in the bathroom. Like, I wake up, I go to the bathroom, first thing, read my book. That's what I'm doing. And so it's super easy to have access to. And I wanted to have something that was close to be able to put by your bedside or put in the bathroom or the kitchen or wherever you kind of start your day, and you can open it up, read a page, and be inspired. So for me, I felt the book was the best application for it.
There's something about having a hard physical book. It's not like an ebook. It's not like a product you buy from a cloud. There's something, I don't know, it just makes you better, I think, by getting to open it and read it, and it focuses solely on that. So how did you pick these people? Now, you mentioned you looked at the ones who were well received. So when you look at people that you're going to analyze, how do you pick them? Do you have a specific set of characteristics you use? Do you look at just people who are well known in the industry, or do you have a set criteria of such and such qualities that they have to have, that you think makes a great man?
Yeah, and just your comment about having a book, I think there's definitely that aspect of, here's this book that you can have a physical copy of, and the cover is a reminder. Like, on the cover, we have Steve Jobs and the Dalai Lama and Warren Buffett and Tony Robbins and these guys, and you look at it and it's a reminder that I want to challenge myself to do something greater today. And so it's hard to do that with a phone or a website. You have to remember to go to the website. Or here, like there's that reminder right in front of you every day if you put it somewhere visible. In terms of picking, so first off, I don't know how many top 10s we've done on the channel. There's a lot. We do 5 a week, and we've done that for a long time. So there's a lot of top 10s on the channel. We pick those based off of requests from our audience. So we have a request line. We've got 3,000 plus requests from people, and we always look at what the audience is asking for. It doesn't guarantee that we'll be able to make a video. We need to have enough content. I need to resonate with the message, but how we sourced for the videos always comes from the audience. And then when I picked the book, I did the 50 of the most popular. So we looked at the views on our most popular top 10 videos. I took 50, put those into a book format. I gave it to a test audience of friends and family, went out to 30 people, and they helped me cut 10 people from the book just based off of what inspired them and moved them. And so the book itself has 40, and there's a bonus 10 that if you send a picture, your receipt in, you get a digital copy of the final 10.
And it's one of those books that you read one page and then you want to read the whole thing. It's not just your usual BS kind of, yeah, you can do it. When I looked at your reviews, people are saying how life-changing they felt it was, how deep it got them, how motivated and pumped up. And I thought, yeah, okay. And then I read it and I was like, yeah, I see the point.
Then you went, yeah, okay.
Because when I hear this, I read a lot of books and I go, yeah, they make up these amazing promises, and then you read them and go, yeah, okay, it's all right. But with your books and your videos, it's motivational. It pushes you to actually do things. So did you start seeing like a lot of similarities between these people? Was it depending on the rituals and the behaviors they did? Does it matter what industry they were in, or did you find that they all got up at a certain time, that they all did certain things, like meditation, gratitude journaling, those sort of things?
Yeah, so that was one of the most popular questions that I got asked to my audience. They asked, what are the common habits or characteristics or values or beliefs that all these successful people have that other people don't? What are the rules that keep coming up over and over and over again? As the guy who basically studies success and has probably done more profile clips of anybody, for me to figure out what are the most common rules that keep coming up. And so in the book, yes, each page has 2 lessons from a different famous entrepreneur or thought leader, but it actually starts with the 10 most common rules that come up over and over and over and over and over again, and little details on each one of them. A lot of them may not be super surprising, but it's great to see that it's reinforced so many times. Because if you don't agree with it, or you're saying, okay, I've seen that before, or you may not be applying it to your life or to your business, to see how many people say that this is really fundamental for you to get to be able to build the business and life that you want. At least for me, when I hear the same message come from Michael Jordan, as from Elon Musk, as from Oprah Winfrey, it's like, okay, I'm hearing it again, maybe slightly different words, but I'm hearing it again from a totally different person who's had massive success. Like, I need to get this. I need to really understand this, because if I figure that out, then I'll be on the same trajectory as them.
No, and it's amazing the sort of the things that you see that you think would make a difference, like the little changes in their routines and the kind of the things that they build into their daily to day rituals. So, was there anybody that you looked at that it seemed counterproductive the way they were doing things, but it made them successful? Was there something you looked at and thought, no, that's not going to work, and you're like, oh, that's an unusual habit or a strange way to do things, but it's made them successful?
Yeah, so one that comes to mind is Elon Musk. And in one of the clips, he's on he's on national television, and he's talking about how AI is going to be the end of the world. Robots are going to kill us all. Doomsday prophecy. And then he gets asked, well, how is that going to happen? And he says, oh, I don't know. And then they ask him some follow-up questions, and to every question he says, I don't know. And when I think about that story, it left a real impact on me, because I feel like if I made a bold claim on national TV and then I got asked a follow-up question, I would try to fluff my way through an answer. I don't know that I would have the courage to say, I don't know, after making a huge claim. I feel like I would just try to find some kind of answer. And so it seems counterproductive. Like you just made this massive statement and then you don't have answers to all the follow-up questions. But he's so unabashedly himself, and he doesn't tie his confidence or self-worth into what this reporter or the audience thinks of him, that he just goes forward. And if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. And so my hope is that if I get asked, maybe you ask me a question today, if I get asked a question that I don't know the answer to, that I would have the confidence to say, you know what? I don't know.
I've got so many kind of questions that were right field or out of the normal ballpark that I thought, I want to help you sell this book because it's so good, but I didn't want to drive anybody away by my weirdness, So for those people who are reading, is this something that we should read and go, okay, I'll go try that? Or is it a case of you should pick and choose what bits of advice to use? How can we look at what's written and say, will that work for me? How do we analyze the suitability of each point? Is it a grade, or is it just go out and try it and see how it works?
Sure. So first off, I would say, I always appreciate getting on a call with you because I like the weird, random right field questions, because I get asked the same questions over and over again. So I like this. This is awesome. So if you have throw a couple weird ones in at least. I like the little back and forth. In terms of how to read the book, I think most people wake up and they default to wanting to read chapters, which you certainly can do. I just don't think you'll get the benefit from it. I think if you look at the first one, for example, is Steve Jobs. So we took 10 of the brightest things that Steve Jobs has ever said in his life, and we condensed it down into 5 pages for you. It's easy to blow through 5 pages and be inspired and say, wow, that was amazing, and just get a vibe of motivation to want to go off and pour that energy into your work. But you're not really getting the full benefit of it if you blast through the book, just get a little bit of motivation, and then you're finished, and then you fall back. Like you finish the book quickly, and then you fall back to your regular life habits, patterns. I think you'll get a lot more benefit from it by taking 2 minutes, read 1 page, you get 2 ideas, spend 3 minutes thinking about it. So you have 5 minutes in the morning, and then think, how can I apply these 2 genius ideas? I think there'll be some ideas that immediately resonate with people. That like, yes, that's great. That's confirmation. That's exactly what I need to hear. And that's going to help me, move forward today to face, my parents who don't believe in what I'm doing, or my colleague who's not supporting me, or, whatever roadblocks you're facing. I think there's also going to be some that may come up that people may not immediately agree with. And I think you can often learn the most from those, from the rules that come up, especially if it's a repetitive one that multiple people have said that doesn't click for you immediately. That's where I think a lot of the growth will come, not from the ones that you immediately connect with, but the ones that you don't immediately connect with, and trying to see, okay, why don't I connect with this? All these successful people are saying this, but I don't think it. So maybe they're not the problem. Right? Like maybe it's me. maybe my mindset's a little messed up in this area. And so that helps shine a light. At least it did for me. If I see so many people from different angles saying the same thing and it's not jiving with me, maybe that's worth some introspection for me to think, like I might need to rethink my position on this. And I think that self-examination is super important.
Because that's why I like your stuff. You can watch it and get the conversation. Then you can develop yourself a wee bit and come back and watch it, and you understand it a bit more. And then you start picking up on the little subtleties, the hidden message underneath it. And I like that in this book that, you immediately thought, nah, that guy works, like Elon Musk, space travel. Nah, it's not for me. Then you noticed, oh, I could apply that habit to do my thing. Oh, I could twist that to do that. And there was little snippets I was learning from me going off to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was kind of a weird, I was kind of, I can apply that to my daily life. And I wouldn't even have looked at that person. So was there anybody that you looked at who you thought was quite successful and that you decided not to put into the book? Was there anybody that you thought, oh, no, that's a bad habit, or it's, they're using other people's work, or that they shouldn't be where they are in that kind of sense?
So it wasn't my judgment of them to say they're not worthy to be in their book or their point of view is wrong. It was more the message didn't resonate with enough people in my audience. So one, there's a lot of people who I've learned a ton from, but they didn't make it into the top 50. They were not one of my most popular 50 people. So I didn't put somebody in just because I wanted to. It was all based off of what resonated with my audience. So, Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks, he's, in my office behind me on my wall, but he didn't make it into the book. I've learned a ton from him. Then within the book, we cut 10, and we cut Muhammad Ali. We cut some big names in the book, mostly again because their message, just like the way Muhammad Ali talks, a lot of it's in metaphors. A lot of it is sometimes hard to get the context if you're in ESL, English as a second language person. And so not everything resonated with everybody. And so it's not, one opinion that means that person's out. It was more taken as a whole. So I used my test audience of 30 to cut 10 people out of the book. And there's still, if I put Evan's favorites, the 50, the 40 that made it in would have been slightly different. There'd be a lot of overlap, but I would pick some others. And one of the bonuses that I give people, if they send in a picture of them with the book or the receipt, just some kind of proof that they bought it, is I send them a video of my top 10 favorite clips of all time that I've learned the most from. And I would say like half of the people in that video are not in the book, but what they said really meant something to me.
I mean, because there was a few people who I looked at and I thought, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Because you normally get the same people, the same quotes, and you certainly went down a different road, and you got in more depth into some people who maybe are not as famous or not well known, and you really showed them why people should check them out more. So for those people who buy your book and it just sits on their mantelpiece, who download thousands of articles or YouTube videos and do nothing, how do we get motivated? How should we build taking action, making a habit of it? Because those people who are motivated, it's fine. For those people who want to change but don't know how to do it, or let some excuse hold them back, how can they step up and start making those changes they want?
Yeah, and I think for most people, it's not a question of them being motivated or not. I think we have days when we are motivated and days when we're not. So like the same person is motivated on a Tuesday, but then not motivated for the rest of the week. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge you face in your podcast. Like people say, man, Ian has great interviews, and they subscribe, but then they don't find the time to listen to your next episode. I think the key for me to helping spread the message is one, making it as simple as possible to consume. So for me, for books, I hate books that I have to read and I'm looking for the paragraph to end, or the page, like 10 pages in or 20.
Yes, I know that.
And you're flipping ahead and it's like, where is this going to end? So I can just put the book, because I hate ending in the middle of a chapter. I also hate it when I have to reread the same paragraph 3 times or 4 times. Like I just read it, but I feel like I didn't even read it. And so you're reading it over and over and over again. So I didn't want to write a book like that. And neither of my books are like that. Even the first one, Your One Word, you can read 1 page at a time if you want, and it still makes sense. And so that makes it easy. Like committing to reading 1 page a day for 2 minutes and thinking about it for 3 is a much easier commitment than I need you to spend 45 minutes every morning doing this practice. And my hope, and what I've seen from myself and for other people going through the process, is because it's so easy, if it's the first habit that you do, then you're more likely to stick to your other habits. And so this can help be that linchpin habit to set you up for success. So a lot of people have an ideal morning routine. Maybe it's wake up and brush your teeth and do some kind of exercise and eat a healthy breakfast, and that permeates throughout the rest of the day of the kind of lifestyle you want to live. What ends up happening is if you don't hit that first habit, you're unlikely to stick to everything else. That first habit that you do, if you don't do it, then you're gonna, you slack off on your diet. You don't have to do the workout. Everything else that you're supposed to do, record for the podcast or whatever thing is on your list, you wanna push it until tomorrow, and then you start all over again. So the first habit becomes really, really, really important. If it's something that inspires you, empowers you, makes you feel great, then you're more likely to follow through on everything else. And so I wanted to make something that was so easy to do, and still not everybody does it. I do my best, but it's not perfect. But that was the intention with the book, to make it so easy so that you could start your day with it, 2 minutes, and then hopefully that inspires you to change your identity as somebody who follows through and somebody who continues to do the big things in life, and that permeates to the rest of your day.
No,
Um,
I love that kind of message, because we all have such a finite amount of willpower. When you hear these people who say start meditating 30 minutes a day, no one's going to do that. They might do it for a day and then they fail. You're only asking people to do 1 page a day and it'll change their life. That's what I'll say to people is nerves will last for an hour while you're, say, going to your first jiu-jitsu class or something like that. But the experience will change your life. And your book is what, £15, something like that. And it's got the potential to transform your life. And it's one of those books that I would always recommend to other people. So for the one thing I did notice, I think it was 100% positivity on the comments on Amazon and these sort of things. But somebody did mention that they wanted more from you. They wanted to hear your personal thoughts and opinions. Do you wish you had put more of that into it and not focus as much on the people, and sort of tied it together with your own opinions? Or is that maybe something you do in the sequel?
I like that you're talking about sequel. We'll see where that goes, Ian. You're pushing me into a third book already here.
I'm expecting
it. No, for this one, no, I'm okay with it. And it's the same strategy that I use on my YouTube channel. I think I am always a hybrid of trying to share what I feel is right and my views on certain things, and also fully understanding I don't know everything. And part of my mission is around modeling success and finding people who've done great things, and I share my learnings. Like, I read this book every morning, and so that's what pushed me to make it for other people. Like, I'm getting a lot of benefit from it, so I know others will benefit from it as well. Maybe not everybody, but I'm not selling something that I don't believe in or use myself. On my YouTube channel, it's the same thing. I have content that is heavily Evan focused, and then my top tens, which this book is about, I'm not in it that much. I'm introducing it, I'm setting up the stage, I'm doing a lot of the DJing and the collecting of information and condensing it down to what I feel is the best, 10 rules, and condense it to 1 page. But my personal opinion on everything is not in my video series either. And so I play in both worlds. I like being a thought leader. I love coming on shows like this. I love sharing my opinion. And I recognize that I don't know everything. And I love being able to pull from people who've done a lot more than me. And so the different products or the different pieces of content that I create is always some kind of mix between what I have to think and what famous entrepreneurs I look up to say. So listen, it's super humbling. It's great to know that people feel like they want more me in the book. My first book is a lot of me. It's mostly me with a few, punches from other people. And it's super humbling and an honor, but I don't regret that I'm not in the book more.
And if you had your time again, would you have done it any differently? Is there anything that you'd like to have changed or you wish you included? Because there's so much like variety and value from this book. But is there anybody that you thought, yeah, I really wish I'd included that now? Or, people that you're involving in your channel? Because we definitely need a second book. We need a sequel to this. So, I mean, would you have done anything differently now that you think about it?
Not for the second book. No, I mean, my first book, Your One Word, that I did with my publisher, there were a number of things that I would have done differently that I then did differently for self-publishing my second one. And just like, your first time to the rodeo, you make a ton of mistakes and you learn a lot and it gets better like the first time you do anything. I don't regret, I don't think anything really from the second book. I'm really happy with the people we included. I'm really happy with the process that I went through. I don't know what my headspace is honestly not sequel to make another version of it. I don't know what that would look like. I guess we could just rinse and repeat and take 50 more people or 40, like the next 40 people, and put them in. Or we could go by industry and say, here are tech entrepreneurs, or here are musicians or actors. I guess we can go down those kind of parallel paths. It's not where my head is at, but I'd love to know from you, like what's the second book that you'd like to see in this series?
I really like the idea of, so breaking it down into different areas and looking at different industries and, like showing how somebody who listens to it can then go and transform their lives, by maybe a follow up by people who have used your book, how they've used it, where they started from, where they went to, because we all love a good transformation story. And I think there's a lot of your readers who'd love to see that, because we only see people talking about it. I would love to see the follow ups of how these people changed their lives. And, you're doing some amazing things for people. And, it'd only be another bestseller. But so on your book, what would you be, if you had to sum up your 3 favorite rules of success, what would you go for? Which ones stand out?
So I think that's a very personal question, and what stands out to me may be different than other readers. But for me personally, number 10 is believe. So that's what I'm all about. So that's got to be my number one, is just the belief in yourself and belief that the thing is going to work out, and not listening to the haters and dealing with the early failures. And I think it's just, I mean, I love that message. I always will, forever and ever. But I think it's, especially for entrepreneurs, the struggle, because when you start anything, when you start a podcast, a YouTube, a book, anything, it just, you don't get immediate results. It sucks. And when it doesn't make practical sense, you still keep going, doing your thing, and then eventually it takes off. And just having that belief that it will work when all the signs point to it not, is, I think, super powerful for anybody who's trying to do something bigger than themselves or outside the norm. So that would be my number one. Number two for me would be rule number one in the book, which is follow your passion. I think it's probably the most cliche of all the ones. It's one we hear over and over and over and over again, but also the most important. I think it ties really well into the believe rule. I think too many people start a business or go down a path, one, because they're just looking for an opportunity to make some money, which is never the reason to go into business. Money is not the number one reason, but it's an important reason. It's just not number one. Money is not like, money's important for a business. You need money to keep going. So it's not number 30 on the list, but it's not number one either, right? Like there should be something ahead of money in building a business, and most people don't factor that in. And to put in all the crazy hours and deal with all the frustration and negativity and just problems of being an entrepreneur, you have to enjoy the work. Like you have to enjoy actually interviewing people to create a podcast. If you don't, then don't try podcasting. Like if you're only starting a podcast of interviews because you want to hit 1 million subscribers, on iTunes or something, you're never going to get there, because the people who love doing interviews will always crush you. So you have to do the work that you love. And then if I had to pick a third rule, I would probably go with rule number 3 in the book, which really comes up a lot. And maybe it's one of the hidden gems, I think, in the book, which is around raising your standards. It's around what you accept in your life and your business. And I like it because it's a hidden one. A lot of the things that we do are just, we do it by default. We do it because we've always done it. We do it because it's just even the norm we've created for ourselves. And it's really hard to get to the next level if all you're doing is the same things that got you to your current level. And so it at least for me, forces a lot of introspection to think, have I just settled for what now is mediocrity? What 3 years ago might be amazing and great, but now it's easy, and I've just fallen into a pattern. And what's my next level of raising standards? So that invisibleness, I just really like. And I still read it. See, for me, like a sequel to the book, when I finish the book, I start it over again. So I go, like, I don't want to go another book. I go back to the start and go through it, because every time I read through it, I pick up something different. And so I like the reinforced messages of the raising your standards, and I just find it really applies to my life.
No, because I think you've got the level of success that I would love to have. So it was really, I mean, I love the answer, the way you look at it and the way you analyze it and the way you explained it. So for the thousands of people listening, I know we're really tight on time. This is a perfect time. Why should we get a copy of the book? Why should they go out and pick your book over the hundreds and thousands that are available? I mean, I could sell it nonstop, but what's your, how would you sell it to those listening?
So, in general, I don't sell anything. What I would say is if you've heard something in this video that resonates, that it's worth, what I would say is go to a bookstore or borrow a copy from a friend or order it online and uh just pick up one page and see if you've learned something from it. I think the book is for anybody. I think people who want to start their own business or are an entrepreneur will resonate the most with it. But I think for anybody who feels like there's another gear, like they've accomplished some level of success, they're not at the bottom. They don't have to be, on the street homeless. You're getting by, but it's not the life that you feel you are destined for. Like, you could be doing more, and your current environment and the people around you are not pushing you. I think that's probably how I define it best. Like, the people who are around you are not pushing you to do more. The people around you are either telling you that you suck or they're telling you that what you're doing is good. But who's telling you that, Ian, you're awesome on your podcast, but you still suck. Like, you could do a lot better. Like, who tells you that? And for most of us, we don't have that in our lives to kick forward, not down. And that's what I personally get the most from. When I read about Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Oprah and the people who are doing great things, I see it as a kick forward from myself to say, I know I can be doing more, and this is the motivation and strategy to help me get there.
So what would be your go-to take from message? What should guys take from this and go and do? Is there challenges we should undertake for the next wee while? Should we go to your site? How can we keep in touch with the latest projects, that sort of thing?
So if you're looking at the book, you can go buy the book. I think Amazon is probably the easiest place to pick it up. If you want to get in touch with me, YouTube is probably where I'm most known for. You can consume some of the content. If you want to get a feel for what is in the book, the top 10 videos are a good sense of that. Just imagine that 20-minute video being condensed into 5 pages. So that's a good kind of easy test. If you want to get in touch kind of one-on-one, I'm spending a good chunk of my time on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, doing personal messages. So like quick 10, 15, 20-second answers on things. And so wherever you hang out on social, I'm probably there, and stop by and say hi.
Well, you should be thoroughly proud of this book. It's brilliant, and you're going to be changing many lives, and I think you should be like, when you look at the comments, you should be filled with pride, because the transformations you're causing is amazing. And yeah, I will be expecting book 3 shortly.
We'll talk offline. You give me some ideas for what I should be doing for book 3.
But I would just like to say thank you very much for your time and for everything you do for us. It's been a pleasure to speak to you again.
I love it. Thanks, Ian, and all the work you're doing, man. It's super inspiring, and the questions are always great, and it's always a great pleasure connecting with you too. So thank you for having me back on.
Pleasure. Thanks, son.